phosphoric acid, pyruvic acid, and lactic acid. Okay, these are some physiologically important acids. Okay, so what is a base? Base is any compound which combines with H plus ions in a solution. Okay, they combine with hydrogen ions. They are proton acceptors. Okay, example is a bicarbonate ion which accepts hydrogen ions. Okay, to form carbonic acid. So the physiologically important bases are bicarbonate and biphosphate. Bicarbonate and biphosphate. So what is a pH? Very, very basic concept. pH is the negative log of the hydrogen ion concentration. Okay, pH is negative log of hydrogen ion concentration. What does it represent? It represents the hydrogen ion concentration. Okay. So what is the normal values? What is acidosis? The pH is less than 7.35. It is known as acidosis. The pH is greater than 7.45. It is alkalosis. Normal pH range is 7.35 to 7.45. So why it is important to keep the acid base within a balance? Okay, because most of the enzymes functions only within a narrow range of pH. Okay, so it is very important to keep the acid and base within a perfect balance. Okay, the acid base balance can also affect the electrolytes like sodium, potassium, and chloride. Okay, it also affects the membrane functions. It also alters the functions of the proteins. Even the hormones can also get affected because of changes in the pH. Okay. So, how to keep the acid base in a balance? There are certain regulators to keep the acid base within a certain level of balance. Those are the buffers, the respiratory system, and the renal system. There are three types: buffers, the respiratory system, and the renal system. Okay. So, what is a buffer? A buffer is the first line of defense against pH change. It is the first line of defense against pH change. They react very rapidly within seconds to any change in acid base levels. Okay. The buffer systems are the blood, tissue fluids, cells immediately combine with acid or base to prevent excess change in pH. Okay. The buffer systems of the blood, body fluids, and cells immediately combine with acid or base to prevent excessive change in pH. They do not eliminate hydrogen ions from the body or add them, but only keep them tied up until balance can be re-established. See, very, very important point. The buffers do not eliminate or add hydrogen ions. Okay, they only keep them tied until the balance is re-established. Okay. So there are three major buffer systems: the bicarbonate buffer, the phosphate buffer, and the protein buffer system. Okay. See, these are the different buffer systems which play dominant roles in different parts of the body. For example, in extracellular fluid, the major buffer is the bicarbonate buffer. The major buffer in ECF is bicarbonate buffer. The binary buffers are the intracellular proteins and phosphate buffer. In blood, in blood, the major buffer is again the bicarbonate buffer along with hemoglobin. Hemoglobin in blood is one of the major buffers. The minor buffers are the plasma proteins and phosphate buffer. In intracellular fluid, the major buffers are the proteins and phosphate. It is not bicarbonate. In intracellular fluid, the major buffers are the proteins and phosphate. In urine, the ammonia and phosphate form the major buffer. Okay. So the bicarbonate buffer system is the most important extracellular fluid buffer. As we all saw, the most important major buffer of the ECF is the bicarbonate buffer system. Okay, what does it constitute? It constitutes the sodium bicarbonate and carbonic acid. The bicarbonate buffer system constitutes the sodium bicarbonate and carbonic acid. The carbonic acid dissociates into hydrogen and bicarbonate. We all know that the famous equation.
Padunda.
The carbonic acid dissociates into sodium, hydrogen and bicarbonate ions. Okay, under normal circumstances, there is much more bicarbonate present than carbonic acid. The ratio is approximately 20:1. So this is the equation. See, carbon dioxide combines with water to form carbonic acid. The carbonic acid dissociates to hydrogen ions and bicarbonate ions. Okay, this is the bicarbonate buffer. So, how does the bicarbonate buffer system react to the acidosis? See the response of acidosis. Okay, what is acidosis? Increase in pH. Okay, decrease in pH are caused by the addition of the hydrogen ions, increase in the level of hydrogen ions. So, see the carbonic acid bicarbonate buffer system, what does it do? Okay, there is increased hydrogen ions, therefore carbonic acid is formed, which dissociates to water and carbon dioxide. The respiratory system reacts by increasing the respiratory rate. Hyperventilation occurs. Thereby, the CO2 is flushed out. So, the bicarbonate buffer system shifts the equation to production of more carbonic acid, which reaches the lungs, which dissociates to water and carbon dioxide. The respiratory rate is increased. Thereby, more CO2 is flushed out. Okay. What is the renal response to acidosis? The kidneys secrete more of hydrogen ions. The kidneys secrete more of hydrogen ions into the tubules. Okay, into the tubules, and increase the generation of bicarbonate. Okay. See, they secrete H plus ions, removing carbon dioxide and reabsorbing bicarbonate helps to replenish the bicarbonate reserve. Okay. What is the response to alkalosis? Okay, the response to alkalosis is caused by removal of hydrogen ions. Okay, there is less amount of hydrogen ions. Okay, less amount of hydrogen ions. What does the carbonic acid bicarbonate buffer system do? Okay, the carbonic acid dissociates to hydrogen and bicarbonate. The bicarbonate is taken by the kidneys and it is excreted. The bicarbonate is excreted and the hydrogen ions is conserved by the kidneys. Okay, whereas in lungs, the respiratory rate is decreased. Okay, thereby preserving CO2 and more of CO2 is scented and they combine with water to form carbonic acid. This carbonic acid dissociates to hydrogen ions and bicarbonate, and thereby increasing the hydrogen ions, and the bicarbonate is secreted by the kidneys. Okay. So what is the importance of the bicarbonate buffer? It is present in high concentration. About 40 to 50% of the 50% of the acid base balance is under the control of bicarbonate buffer. Okay. They have a very high alkali reserve. The bicarbonate to carbonic acid reserve ratio is 20:1. Okay. The concentration of the components can be regulated by the base component. Very, very important. Bicarbonate is regulated by the kidneys. The acid part, carbonic acid is under respiratory regulation. Very, 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 very important. Always the base constituent bicarbonate is under the control of the kidneys. The acid part, the carbonic acid is under the control of the lungs. Okay, it's under respiratory regulation. Next is the phosphate buffer system. It is not as important as blood buffer, but it plays a very important role in buffering in the intracellular fluid and the tubular fluid. Phosphate buffer is an important buffer in the intracellular fluid. The normal ratio of disodium hydrogen phosphate and dihydrogen sodium phosphate in plasma is 4:1. Okay, and this is kept constant by the help of kidneys, for which phosphate buffer system is directly related to kidneys. Okay. So what does it do? It regulates the pH within the cells. It is a very important buffer in the intracellular fluid. The important buffer in the extracellular fluid is bicarbonate buffer. The important buffer in the intracellular fluid is phosphate buffer. It regulates the pH within the cells and the urine. Okay. The phosphate concentrations are higher in intracellular and within the kidney tubules. Okay. Phosphate concentrations are higher intracellular and within the kidney tubules. More phosphate ions are found in the tubular fluids. It is less important but more powerful than bicarbonate buffer system. Very, very important point. It is less important but more powerful than bicarbonate buffer system. Next is the protein buffer system. Protein buffer system is very important in the blood. In the blood, plasma proteins, especially the albumins, act as buffer because they contains a large number of dissociable acidic and basic groups. Okay, in the blood, the plasma proteins, especially albumin, acts as buffer because it contains a large number of dissociable acidic and basic groups. In an acid solution, the amino group accepts excess H plus ions to form ammonia. Okay, in basic solutions, the carboxyl group gives up the H plus ions. Very, very important point. Other important buffer groups of proteins in the physiological pH range are the imidazole groups of histidine. Imidazole groups of histidine. So next is the hemoglobin buffer. Hemoglobin buffer in RBCs play an important role in respiratory regulation of pH. Very, very important point. The hemoglobin buffer helps in respiratory regulation of pH. Respiratory regulation of pH, hemoglobin. It helps in the transport of metabolically produced CO2 from cells to lungs for excretion. See what they do? They transport the CO2 produced from the cells to the lungs for excretion. As hemoglobin releases O2, it gains a great affinity for H plus ions. Okay. So this picture gives a very clear idea about how the hemoglobin acts as a buffer. See, in the tissue, after taking the O2 from the hemoglobin, CO2 is produced. This CO2 is transported within the RBCs. Within the RBCs, where the CO2 combines with water present in the present within the RBCs to form carbonic acid. Okay, then therefore the hemoglobin picks up CO2 and H plus ions. Okay, H plus ions. There it reaches the lungs where the carbonic acid dissociates into water and carbon dioxide. Thereby the carbon dioxide is eliminated from the lungs to the alveoli into the external. Okay, this is how the hemoglobin acts as a buffer. Then we have completed the buffer. Next we move on to the respiratory regulation of acid base balance. The respiratory mechanism is the second line of defense. Primary is the buffer. Buffer is the immediately acting buffers, immediately acting regulator. Next comes the respiratory regulation. How come it is achieved? It is achieved by regulating the concentration of the carbonic acid. Carbonic acid regulation is under respiratory control. Bicarbonate regulation is under the renal control. Remember, this is a very, very, very basic point. Okay. So it is achieved by regulating the concentration of carbonic acid in the blood and other bodily fluids by the lungs. Okay. The respiratory center regulates the removal or retention of CO2, thereby H2CO3 from the extracellular fluid by the lungs. Okay. Thus, lungs functions by maintaining one component of the bicarbonate buffer, that is the carbonic acid. Okay, H2CO3. So this is the respiratory center is located in the medulla and the pons. Okay, they receive responses from higher brain centers, cerebral cortex, the voluntary control over breathing. Next, other receptors like pain and emotional stimuli acting through the hypothalamus. Then the peripheral receptors, then the central chemoreceptors. Okay, then the stretch receptors in the lungs, then the irritant receptors in the lung. Everything, okay, for decrease in the CO2 and the increase in the carbon dioxide and increase in hydrogen ions, all everything is regulated by the respiratory center, which is located in the medulla and the pons. Okay, what does it do? See, in case of acidosis, what is acidosis? Acidosis is nothing but it is decrease in the pH with increase in the hydrogen ion concentration. Okay, okay. After acidosis, there is stimulation of brain and arterial receptors. See, the arterial receptors, the chemoreceptors, the peripheral chemoreceptors, the central chemoreceptors all gets activated, and the respiratory center, which is located in the medulla and pons, are get stimulated. The respiratory rate is increased, thereby the CO2 is washed out, thereby reducing the blood levels of CO2. Therefore, the blood carbonic acid concentration is decreased. Therefore, the pH gets increased. Okay. The opposite occurs in case of alkalosis. Okay. So, renal regulation of acid-base balance. Next, we see about the renal regulation of acid-base balance. The renal regulation of the body's acid-base balance is the metabolic component of the buffering system. The respiratory component of the buffering system is by the lungs, which is the H2CO3. The metabolic component of the buffering system is the HCO3. Okay. See, whereas the respiratory system controls the blood levels of the carbonic acid by controlling the exhalation of CO2, the renal system controls the blood levels of bicarbonate. Why I am repeating this? Because it is very, very important to remember the basics. Okay. So, how does the renal system maintain the acid-base balance? How does it regulate the acid-base balance? It can excrete the hydrogen ions. It can cause excretion of hydrogen ions in case of respiratory acidosis. Excretion of hydrogen ions, then it can reabsorb the bicarbonate ions, and by excretion of titratable acid and excretion of ammonium ions. These are the very important four mechanisms by which the metabolic component gets regulated by the kidneys. So first is excretion of hydrogen ions. There are four steps. Okay, I will show in the picture. So first, what happens? The sodium, okay, enters from the tubules, from the lumen of the urinary tract to the tubular cells through an antiport mechanism by exchanging with the hydrogen ions. The sodium, see, the sodium ions are reabsorbed from the filtrate in exchange for H plus ions by an antiport mechanism in the apical membrane of cells in the renal tubules. Okay, the cells produce bicarbonate ions that can be shunted to the peritubular capillaries. Cells produce bicarbonate ions that can be shunted to the peritubular capillaries. Okay, then the carbonic acid is formed, which it dissociates to form bicarbonate ion and hydrogen ion. The bicarbonate ion passes into the peritubular capillaries and returns to the blood. Okay, the hydrogen ions is secreted into the filtrate. Okay, see here, the first step is the sodium gets exchanged for hydrogen ions by an antiport mechanism. The sodium enters from the filtrate to the cells lining the tubular cells, enters into the tubular cells. Okay, the hydrogen is excreted in the urine. Okay, the hydrogen is excreted in the urine. See, the hydrogen is excreted into the urine. The hydrogen combines with the bicarbonate in the urine to form H2CO3, that is the carbonic acid. The carbonic acid divides into water and CO2. Hydrogen thereby excreted in the form of water in the urine. See, H plus is excreted, but the CO2 is reabsorbed back into the tubular cells, thereby where it from CO2 plus water gives carbonic acid. The carbonic acid divides into hydrogen ions and bicarbonate. The hydrogen ions again gets eliminated in the urine by an antiport mechanism for sodium. The bicarbonate is reabsorbed back into the blood system, thereby increasing the pH. Thereby increasing the pH. This is how one of the mechanisms of how the kidneys maintain the acid base. Okay. Next is the excretion of the titratable acid. This is very important point. What is titratable acid? Titratable acidity is a measure of acid excreted into urine by the kidney. It is the measure of acid excreted by the into urine by the kidneys. Okay. Titratable acidity refers to the number of millimeters of N bar 10 NaOH required to titrate 1 liter of urine to mean pH of 7.4. Okay. Titratable acidity refers to the hydrogen ion concentrations excreted into urine. See, it is the measure of the hydrogen ion concentrations excreted in the urine. Okay. The H plus ions are secreted into the tubular lumen in exchange for sodium ion, which we have seen earlier by an antiport mechanism. Okay. This sodium ion obtained from the base disodium hydrogen phosphate, where the sodium comes, it is absorbed from the base disodium hydrogen phosphate. Disodium hydrogen. This combines with H plus to produce the acid. This combines with H plus to produce the acid. The sodium dihydrogen phosphate, in which form the major quantity of titratable acid is present in urine. The major quantity of titratable acid present in urine is in the form of dihydrogen sodium phosphate. Tubular fluid moves down the renal tubules and more H plus ions are added, resulting in the accumulation of urine. Okay, the titratable acidity causes a fall in pH of as low as 7 point, as low as 4.5. Okay, so this picture gives an idea about excretion of the titratable acid. See, the sodium in the tubular lumen, there is dihydrogen sodium phosphate with dissociates into sodium and monosodium hydrogen phosphate. This sodium is reabsorbed back into the renal tubular cell in exchange for H plus ions. These H plus ions combines with the monosodium hydrogen phosphate to form dihydrogen sodium phosphate, and which gets excreted in the urine. Okay. Then excretion of the ammonium ions. How does the ammonium gets excreted? In the renal tubular cells, the glutamine gets reduced to glutamate by losing an ammonia group, then which gets transported from the tubular cell into the lumen, into the tubular lumen. Okay, in the tubular lumen, where the sodium is also released from the is also released. Okay, where the tubular lumen, the ammonia gets reduced to uh, reduced releases an sodium and becomes ammonia. Okay. So next comes the, what is the importance? It is the slowest compensation. Renal compensation is the slowest compensation. We all know the first line of defense is the buffer system. The second line of defense is the respiratory mechanism. The third line of defense is the renal compensation. It may take hours to days, but it is the most powerful method of compensation. Most powerful method of compensation is the renal mechanism. It is ineffective in patients with renal failure. Okay. So what are the degrees of compensation? How the compensation can be further classified? It is uncompensated, it is partially compensated, it is fully compensated. There are three types: uncompensated, partially compensated, and fully compensated. Okay. So uncompensated means the body has made no attempt to correct the acid base balance. Okay. The body has made no attempt. The patient is in gross pH difference in a, okay. What is partially compensated? The body is attempting to correct the imbalance, but blood pH remains same despite the attempt. Blood pH remains the same despite the attempt. Okay. Fully compensated means the body is correcting the imbalance, the pH is normal, other blood gases remain abnormal until the root cause is treated and corrected. Okay, the pH is normal, the body is correcting the imbalance, but other blood gas values remains abnormal until the root cause is identified and treated. Okay. So next is a very important term known as the anion gap. Anion gap is a very important term. Okay. The total concentration of the cations and anions is equal in the body fluids. Okay. The total concentration of anions and cations is equal in the body fluids. This is required to maintain electrical neutrality. The common measured electrolytes are the sodium, potassium, chloride, and bicarbonate. Okay. Sodium, potassium, chloride, and bicarbonate. Okay. The sodium and potassium together account for 95% of the cations, whereas chloride and bicarbonate account for nearly 86% of the anions. Okay. Hence, there is always a difference between the measured cations and anions. Okay. This is due to the presence of protein anions, sulfates, phosphates, and organic acids. Okay, there is always a slight difference between the measured cations and anions. Therefore, anion gap is defined as the difference between the total concentration of the measured cations and the total of the measured anions. Sodium plus potassium minus chloride plus bicarbonate. Okay. Okay, this picture gives a clear idea about the anion gap. Okay. See, this is the cations, sodium, potassium, magnesium, calcium, others. These are the anions, the chloride, the bicarbonate, the phosphate, okay, the proteins, other organic and inorganic anions, okay. In anion gap, what is anion gap? It is the measure of the total anions minus total cations minus total anions, okay. See, the all unmeasured anions minus all unmeasured cations, okay. The normal anion gap is less than 12 millimoles per liter. The normal anion gap is less than 12 millimoles per liter. Okay, in case of hypoalbuminemia, there should be the anion gap should be estimated by adjusting for albumin levels. So how do you calculate corrected anion gap? It is by actual anion gap minus 2.5 into 4.5 minus albumin. Okay, this is the corrected anion gap in case of hypoalbuminemia. Okay, the clinical significance of anion gap is a biochemical tool which sometimes helps in assessing and treating the acid base balance. It is used for the diagnosis of different causes of metabolic acidosis. So there are four major types of acid base disorders. In acidosis, there is metabolic acidosis and respiratory acidosis. Metabolic acidosis, we all know that metabolic is renal, due to decrease in bicarbonate. Respiratory acidosis is increase in carbonic acid. Then alkalosis, metabolic alkalosis, respiratory alkalosis. Metabolic alkalosis due to increase in bicarbonate, respiratory is due to decrease in carbonic acid. Okay. So first let's see about metabolic acidosis. Metabolic acidosis is nothing but increase in hydrogen ion is caused from increased intake of acids and increased generation of acids or an increased loss of bicarbonate. Okay. Either there is increased intake or increased generation or an increased loss of bicarbonate. Okay. So this picture is taken from Schwartz. This picture is taken from Schwartz. See the etiology of metabolic acidosis. Metabolic acidosis is further classified into increased anion gap metabolic acidosis or normal anion gap metabolic acidosis. Very important. increased anion gap, normal anion gap. Increased anion gap, the causes are either exogenous acid injection in the form of ethylene glycol, salicylate, and methanol. Ethylene glycol, salicylic acid, salicylate, and methanol poisoning. Then endogenous acid production. Okay, endogenous acid production, that is the ketoacidosis, the lactic acidosis, and renal insufficiency. Endogenous ketoacidosis, lactic acidosis, and renal insufficiency. Then normal anion gap, the acid administration, hydrochloric acid, loss of bicarbonate, GI loss through diarrhea and fistulas, erythrosigmoidostomy, the renal tubular acidosis, and the carbonic acid anhydrase inhibitors. These are the causes of normal anion gap. So, what are the clinical features? The very, very important clinical feature to remember is the Kussmaul's breathing, shallow respiratory, rapid respiratory breathing. Kussmaul's breathing. Okay, remember this term. If you see this in question, remember that the patient is in a state of metabolic acidosis, that is compensatory hyperventilation. So, what are the other important features to remember? That is, patient will be having a low decreased muscle tone. He will be in a state of confusion. He will be in a state of confusion. That the very, very important is the hyperkalemia. Okay, because of the warm and the skin will be warm and flushed. Skin will be warm and flushed.